Well, let's go live now to Gaza activist Mansour Shuman joining us. Mansour, we haven't seen you for a while. Thanks for joining us here today on RT. Now, Mansour, you've been there. You've been in Gaza. You lived in Gaza at the beginning of the war. When you take a look, it's been almost a year now. How do you feel? I mean, what are your initial... How do you feel right now?
I feel outraged. It's been almost 11 months now, and we're entering into our 12th month. I think the Palestinian people and those who love freedom and love the international human values to show compassion and to show heartfelt to anyone that is civilian are feeling very underwhelmed right now. People were educated for many decades now about Western values and what they represent and democracy and human rights. But after over 330 days, I think that people all around the world are asking themselves the question, what is it that we have been taught and indoctrinated on, since what we're seeing in Gaza is not being applied given what we have been taught. So I think Gaza has removed the veil from how the Western world, especially led by the United States government, is acting. And the people in Gaza are definitely going through a very hard time. However, the people there remain determined to continue to remain steadfast on their land and not repeat what happened in 1967 and 1948. Despite losing over 41,000 lives, despite having over 160,000 injured and many dozens of thousands under the rubble, and despite what is happening now in the West Bank, people in the West Bank, I'm originally from Jerusalem, are fearing that whatever happened in Gaza is going to happen there. And the outside world is just looking. No one is acting, even though the ICJ ruled on behalf of the Palestinians, asking the Israelis to stop the war as soon as possible, stop this genocide. Nothing has happened, and Israel has only escalated its violence. We all wanted an exchange deal to happen, an oppression to stop, hostages to be released from both sides. However, it seems that the Netanyahu government wants to continue, together with his war cabinet, his genocide and war criminal activities in Gaza. And right now, it seems we might even go to a regional war. So things don't look very good. And we are hoping that the Israeli people put pressure on the government to put some sense into them, given what they are suffering together with the Palestinian people on the ground.
Yeah, indeed. Mansour, we just saw the report there that 33 people, Palestinians, that lost their lives in just the last 24 hours. Today is supposed to be, Mansour, the third day of the agreed ceasefire in Gaza. Why? Because they wanted to roll out the polio vaccines for the children. Are you surprised that they just completely ignored that?
I think I'm sad, but I'm not surprised. And I mean, it's the same cycle, right? It feels you're seeing the same movie on repeat, right? They are saying that they're not going to target civilians. They are saying that they want the truce. They announced the truce. They're saying they're not going to target schools or hospitals. Then they do the same. And every time they're going to find a reason to break their promises and their ceasefire agreements. I remember reporting for RT for several months when I was in Gaza and Khan Yunis. And every time when I was there, talking with civilians, everyone would be asking me, is there a ceasefire going to come in place? Is there a deal that's going to be struck? We want to go back to our homes. We want to go back to our lives, right? And I remember telling them every time that, you know what? We are dealing with a very unpredictable enemy, foe that does not keep their word. And I think that the details of the negotiations, which was talked about some of the Hamas senior officials, show that everyone wanted the deal to be struck. But it was always Netanyahu and his far-right government who stood in the way of that. So I hope that together with millions of people from around the world, that an exchange deal will happen as soon as possible, and that this Netanyahu government will be gotten rid of once and for all.
Yeah, we hope so too. When we're talking about these children, Mansour, over 500,000 children need to be vaccinated. Some 90,000 children have been vaccinated so far. Do you think they're doing enough to get this polio vaccine to the children?
I think they're going to need more than a couple of weeks to be able to access all the children in both the north, central, and southern regions. I think this is a good step in the way to ensure that Palestinians receive the medical treatment that they need. However, it is a very small step, given that, yes, they might be dying in the near future or suffering because of being getting the polio disease, but they're also dying right now physically because of the bombs, because of the lack of proper nutrition, because of the lack of proper hygiene. So, yes, it is good in the long run to get these vaccinations, but in the short term, everyone, including the humanitarian agencies on the ground, are just rushing to ensure that these children have basic life necessities. So we need an immediate stop to this genocide in order for us to ensure that not only they receive polio vaccines, but all other forms of basic human rights, things that they can be cared for in the future and now.
Yeah, let's hope so indeed. It's gone on far too long. We're going to have to leave it there, sadly. Gaza activist Mansour Shuman joining us there. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.